Martin Popoff from the Contrarians here. I've got a solo reflection of Don't Start Too Late from Sabotage. Why am I doing this? Well, this is my favorite album of all time. It is the 50th anniversary of Sabotage. Not exactly to the month, but it is 50 years ago that the album came out this year. And yeah, favorite album of all time. Don't Start Too Late. It's an absolute classic from this album. 49 seconds long, but so much happens in it. Let's find out how much happens. I made a few notes for this review. So yeah, this is a reflection, a review, and analysis of the song "Don't Start Too Late." So I'm gonna be mostly reading from my notes here because I wanted to get it all in because this is a complicated song, not quite as complicated as Megalomania, I suppose, but still pretty complicated. So, okay. So, the very first thing to understand about this song, I think, it's not by any sane metric a song, right? It's a mirage, a tremor. It's less than a minute, like I say, 49 seconds that flickers and vanishes, leaving the listener stranded between worlds. What do you think of that? Tucked like a nervous tick between the unhinged bravado of Hole in the Sky and the cathedral doom of Symptom of the Universe. It acts less as a bridge than as a nervous breakdown disguised as reprieve. Its acoustic notes feel brittle, the way glass hums before it shatters. And in that sense, it may be one of the purest distillations of the Sabotage era's psychic unrest, a time when Black Sabbath were no longer simply the architects of heavy metal, but the haunted tenants of the edifice they had built. So at this point, if you think about it, I mean, Sabbath has already done all its inventing of metal. Um, this is the white knuckle Black Sabbath album. And this song is kind of the quiet, fraught, unsettled representation of that whole thing. Okay, so it begins as though Tony is alone in a small, heavily carpeted room. There's no studio hum, no introduction, just that unmistakable tone, the compressed intimacy of steel strings played inches from the microphone. The title, half a joke, half a warning, hints at its offhand birth. Don't start too late, as though a recording engineer fumbled for the button, capturing something unintended, unguarded, too soon. Yet that accidental framing is the point. It makes the piece sound stolen, like a psychic field recording from the interior of Iommi's mind. I think that kind of sums up my thoughts of this thing. I mean, it is all tied in with the title as it's just a flippant sort of title um, with this "too late" in brackets. Complicated title for a not very long song. Very complicated song though. I could hum the whole thing for you if you want. Not hum it, but I could toodaloo it. But okay, so for an artist so often identified with distortion, menace, and the tectonic turn of amplification, the sudden nakedness of an acoustic guitar is jarring. But Iommi's acoustic interludes have always been Trojan horses. Think of Laguna Sunrise or Fluff, those bucolic moments on otherwise volcanic albums. Yet Don't Start Too Late carries none of the pastoral calm of its predecessors. It is nervous, angular, fleet. The fingers run in anxious patterns, almost flamenco, but truncated like phrases interrupted by sudden self doubt. There is beauty, yes, but a beauty that feels eavesdropped upon, a beauty embarrassed to exist. And the other thing, of course, about this is that it is recorded so quiet that it absolutely, raises the dynamic impact of the ending of Hole in the Sky, of course, which is very abrupt, and then the start of Symptom of the Universe, which is also abrupt, right? Listen closely, and you can almost hear the psychic architecture of Sabotage in miniature. Paranoia, precision, and an almost pathological professional collapse under their own weight. The band was drowning in lawsuits, management betrayals, and cocaine's glassy distortions of time. The title could almost be the motto of that period. Don't start too late. Don't fall behind. Don't lose control. But they already had. The tape was already rolling. The damage was already done. And so Iommi's brief acoustic fantasia feels like a desperate act of containment, an artist's private exorcism captured by accident. There is a strange purity to its temporariness. In an album dominated by some of Sabbath's most elaborate and unhinged constructions, songs that careen between proto-thrash, baroque theatrics, and existential collapse, this track represents a void of focus. It is the breath held before a scream. Its brevity intensifies it, 49 seconds that feel eternal, precisely because they never resolve. The piece fades as abruptly as it began, its last note dissolving like a half-remembered dream, or like a hand retreating into fog. Um, that's an image that I really like about this song, where it's not your hand. It's not looking at your hand in pea soup fog. It's seeing a hand off in the distance, pull back and retreat. Um, so that's how I feel about this song. It is quite flamenco. I've always called it also the predecessor to Spanish Fly. I think that's called, right, on Van Halen 2. Um, but yeah, it's my favorite Sabbath instrumental, I would say. Super Czar on side 2 comes close. Obviously very different in ambition. Anyway, so yeah, psychologically, I think this song inhabits a strange terrain between control and collapse. Its rhythm is taut, each note chosen with surgical care, yet there is an unmistakable fragility in the phrasing. It's as if Iommi is daring himself to hold it together, to make something delicate without destroying it. The result is almost unbearably tense. We are listening not to relaxation, but to restraint. It is the sound of a man trying to remember gentleness in a world that has none. And of course, that's the narrative of this album. The band is like ticked off, drained, hungover, drugs, dealing with management, feeling like they're broke. They probably are broke, on paper. And they're making this great album that's better than Physical Graffiti, even, which is 2 records from Led Zeppelin, which is their best record, and Sabotage is the better album, right? This contradiction lies at the core of Sabbath's genius, the ability to extract the sublime from claustrophobia, to make despair shimmer. Their heaviness was never purely about volume. It was about psychology, about the weight of being conscious in a collapsing moral universe. And here in this quiet interlude, the heaviness becomes internalized. It is no longer the weight of sound, but the weight of silence. And yeah, people have said this about the first Black Sabbath album, right? The idea that even though it's not as heavy as Paranoid or Master of Reality, and a lot of their songs aren't as technical and fast as things on Deep Purple and Rock, there's a psychological heaviness to the band, and you totally get that out of this masterpiece of a song. In that way, Don't Start Too Late can be read as Sabbath's most metaphysical moment. It's almost mystical in its compression, a miniature koan, a flash of being that gestures towards eternity. The lack of lyrics help. Without words, the listener becomes the interpreter, the projector of meaning. The acoustic guitar becomes a mirror. Its delicate harmonies, its unresolved cadences, these invite introspection, the same way silence in a conversation demands confession. So yeah, these pregnant pauses, they make you think, they make you react. And Sabbath reacts. Tony reacts with one of the greatest riffs of all time immediately when this thing fades, right? So there's something sacramental about Don't Start Too Late. It feels performed for no one at all, which is precisely why it feels so intimate. It's an unrepeatable gesture, the kind of moment that exists only because no one was supposed to witness it. In that sense, it anticipates later Sabbath moments of psychic vulnerability, Ozzy's cracked delivery on She's Gone, or the resigned melancholy of You Won't Change Me. But here, vulnerability is sublimated into pure texture. It's as if all emotion has been reduced to vibration, to the trembling of strings under pressure. And pressure is the essence of Sabotage, as we've discussed. The title itself is self-accusatory, suggesting not only external betrayal, but self-destruction. Don't Start Too Late feels like the fleeting instant before the sabotage detonates, the last flicker of calm before the machinery devours itself. Its placement on the record is surgical, a quiet prelude to Symptom of the Universe, one of the most feral songs in the Sabbath canon. The contrast is almost cruel. Iommi's gentle acoustic work is annihilated seconds later by an avalanche of electrified distortion. It's as though the subconscious has been overrun by its own monstrous offspring. Boy, I can barely read my own handwriting here. Okay, from an aesthetic standpoint, this juxtaposition might be Sabbath's most sophisticated move. It transforms the acoustic guitar, a symbol of introspection, of authenticity, into a ghost, a false memory. The listener, lulled by the softness, is ambushed by the violence. The shift is not just musical, it's ontological. We are reminded that serenity is a lie, that peace is temporary, that even beauty carries within it the seed of destruction. Perhaps that's why the piece lingers in the mind long after it fades. It functions almost like a psychological trigger. You can't hum it, it's too evasive. Yet but I can sing the whole thing, but I'm not going to sing the whole thing for you. Yet its emotional residue clings to the rest of the album, tinting everything with melancholy. Even in Sabbath's loudest moments, you can still feel the ghost of that acoustic interlude whispering underneath, reminding you of fragility, of the impossibility of escape. I've been really into this idea of charcuterie swamp mechanisms these days, and this song really sounds like the soundtrack to those swamp mechanisms, just silently working, deep beneath the poisonous gases of Siberian swamps. Kind of thing. Although Heavy Sabbath reminds me of that too. I don't know. It's kind of neat to link the two together. But anyways, in Jungian terms, though, Don't Start Too Late could be seen as an eruption of the anima, the buried feminine aspect of the self within the masculine fortress of Sabbath sound. It's intuition interrupting intellect, vulnerability breaking through aggression. But the band's genius is that they don't just sentimentalize it. They let it flicker and vanish like a half-heard prayer. The listener must supply the longing. Even the title is a paradox. Don't Start Too Late implies both hesitation and urgency, a simultaneous fear of beginning and fear of missing the moment. It's the perfect motto for artistic creation itself, the perpetual anxiety of timing, of presence. For Sabbath in 1975, that anxiety was existential. They were no longer the youthful alchemists of paranoid, but embattled veterans, both self-aware and self-sabotaging. This track, tiny as it is, distills that awareness into a wordless sigh. Ultimately, Don't Start Too Late is a microcosm of everything terrifying and transcendent about Black Sabbath. It's not an interlude, it's an X-ray. It reveals the trembling hand beneath the iron gauntlet, the moment when control and collapse are indistinguishable. It's a whisper that contains the whole scream. And in its brevity lies its terror, because it feels like something unfinished, something that should continue but doesn't. The tape cuts, the silence swells, and the listener is left alone in that unfinished space where beauty and dread are indistinguishable. In that silence, you realize the song isn't short, it never ends. So there you go. That's my reflection on Don't Start Too Late, one of the great songs on Sabotage, which is 50 years old this year, and it is the greatest album of all time. Let us know what you think of this contemplation, this reflection on Don't Start Too Late. Over at our in the comments, or come over to our Facebook page. You can, in fact, I think I am still selling. Yeah, I still have copies of my Black Sabbath story in 2 volumes. One's called Sabotage. There you go. And one's called Born Again. And MartinPopoff.com also has these massive Iron Maiden, Dio, and Deep Purple books that I have behind me here. You can get those. Those are all brand new right now. And way above there, you can see the Scorpions book, and in pink, the Sweet book. And I've also got the Merciful Fate and the Max Webster. Join our Patreon. You can be on the panels that we've been doing. That's really cool as well. But more important than anything, go listen to Don't Start Too Late a few times. It won't take you too long.